Larry Elder is a conservative talk show host. He is an African American. He apparently saw Piers Morgan's interview with Rachel Jeantel, and he thought that Piers Morgan was being patronizing, as he's going to explain here, because Piers Morgan had said that Rachel Jeantel, a witness in favor of Trayvon Martin, the last person Trayvon had spoken to on the phone, was a smart cookie. That's what Piers Morgan said. And apparently Larry Elder disagreed, so he brought him on to have this conversation. Now, I have found Larry Elder to be reasonable at times, and he's not as over the top as some of the other conservative commentators who make a whole host of assumptions. But as you listen to these clips, you begin to wonder if he has lost some degree of sanity by remaining a conservative through this incredible extremism. Let's watch.
You tweeted at one stage, would I like Rachel Jeantel to fly my plane? Why would you say that?
I'll tell you why I said that, Piers. I'll tell you why I said that. Because after you interviewed her, you condescendingly went on television the next morning and called her one smart cookie. Bull. Why don't you hire her as a nanny? Let's see how smart she is. It's a condescending kind of thing
that
a lot of white people say to black people. I think you're stupid for saying that kind of thing to try to get black people.
That wasn't my question.
That race and racism.
Do you think Rachel Jeantel is
when it doesn't?
Do you think she's stupid, Larry?
Racism is not a major problem in America anymore, Piers. Racism is not a major problem in America anymore. The number one problem facing black people are the large number of black people born outside of wedlock.
Let me just get back to the question I asked you and see if you can actually answer the question. Do you think that Rachel Jeantel is stupid?
I think that I would rather have a George Zimmerman living in my neighborhood, and maybe if George Zimmerman were living in my neighborhood, we'd have fewer Oreo Castros. I thought we wanted people to be proactive.
That wasn't the question, Larry.
Say something. I know, I'm answering something different that ought to be answered.
Could you just answer my question?
George Zimmerman like he's some sort of criminal. He's not a criminal. He's a guy who cares about his neighborhood.
George Zimmerman shot dead an unarmed teenager.
He's a neighborhood watch guy. Don't you want people who are proactive? And there was crime in that neighborhood, Piers. I live in South Central.
There wasn't crime from Trayvon Martin in that neighborhood.
The burglar bars are not on there because of George Zimmerman. They're on there because of the minority of thug in the community that's messing up everybody's image and reputation. This is why people profile. Instead of being angry at George Zimmerman, be angry at the minority of the thug who's committing these kinds of crimes.
Oh boy, we've lost him. I thought he was one of the few reasonable conservatives a long time ago. Apparently not anymore. Racism is not an issue in America anymore. Flat out, he just said that. Okay, how many times have we gone through this? Resumes, same exact resume. A white-sounding name and a black-sounding name, whites get called back 50% more on average. 50%, not 5%, not within the margin of error, not 15%, 50% more callbacks. Same exact resume. A great piece by ABC from a couple of years ago that's now circulating on the internet again. You should absolutely watch it. John Quinones does the report. White kid and a black kid. Same exact outfits, baseball hat, worn in the same exact way. Chopping away at a lock on a bike. First they send in the white kid. Saw, trying to cut it with, whatever that thing is, trying to rip it apart, pliers, etc. People come up to him and they say, are you trying to steal that? He says, or they say, is that your bike, I should say. He says, no, not technically. And people go, oh, okay, and they move on. No one calls the cops. So white kid, he's chopping away at the lock. He says, it's not my bike. They just walk away. Black kid, within minutes, there's a crowd swarming around him. Same exact thing. Is that your bike? Same clothes, except he wears a red shirt, the other guy wore a blue shirt. They say, is that yours? He says, no, not technically. Oh my God, call the cops. These guys on the phones immediately. But there's no racism in America. There's no racism. By the way, they sent in a white girl at the end, an attractive, blonde, young girl. Two guys actually help her steal the bike. Okay, but there's no racism in America. The black guy kid's going to jail immediately. Immediately. White kid says, I'm stealing the bike. Well, oh, fine, have at it, Hoss. It's fine. Go ahead. The white girl, I'll help you steal the bike. Two different guys. One walked away from his wife to help her steal the bike. All right. So, but no. There's no racism in America. That's what Larry Elder tells us. And he says, yeah, I was Zimmerman in my neighborhood. He was being proactive. Larry, you got black kids. Like I feel like they've forgotten who they are. Zimmerman profiled Trayvon Martin. What, you really think based on how slow he was walking? That's what Zimmerman said. What if your kids make the terrible mistake of walking slow in the neighborhood, in their own neighborhood, Larry? And they said, oh, and it was raining. So if your kids are walking in the rain and they got Skittles You want this guy in the neighborhood? Have you lost your mind, Larry? And apparently the answer is yes. He's not done yet. Here's more.
Just out of interest, how many languages do you speak?
I don't speak Ebonics as well as Rachel, if that's what you mean.
No, how many languages do you speak was the question.
And the relevance of that is what?
You don't think she's a smart cookie. She speaks 3 languages fluently. How many do you speak?
Oh, really? You think she's a smart cookie? So you want to bring it back to Rachel? That's not what we're talking about
I
here.
think you've been...
We're talking about
I want to bring it back to Rachel because that was why I booked you, Larry.
How you treated black people like children to whom the truth cannot be told. Rachel Gentile needs to get her act together. If my mother were alive, she would say, how dare she speak like that?
Do you know her educational background, Larry?
When I was in the 3rd grade, I know how she presented herself on the jury.
Larry, do you know her educational background or not?
People evaluate you based on the way you express yourself.
Larry, do you know her educational background? This woman, this young 19-year-old black woman that you are eviscerating for her lack of intelligence, do you have any idea about her background?
Why don't you hire her if she's so sharp as a co-host?
That wasn't the question, Larry.
She's one smart cookie.
Do you
Why don't you hire
know her educational background? Yes or no?
I know how she came across on the jury. That's all I need to know.
That wasn't my question, Larry. Do you know anything?
Why are we even talking about this?
Because actually I think it's relevant.
Let's talk about something.
Let me enlighten you, Larry. I booked you to talk about Rachel Gentile.
Black America. Yeah. Let's talk about whether or not white racism is a major problem for black America. It is not. You are implying that it is. It is not.
Just answer the question. Say, no, of course I didn't do research into her educational background. Go ahead and tell me what it is and we can discuss it. But calm down. And by the way, her educational background before all of this apparently was she was a B student. Okay, so what, right? And she spoke 3 languages. The real thing is, he's like, oh, my mother would not have had anybody go out and speak like that. Well, she might have if it was her 3rd language. Remember, her original language was not English. So, and by the way, you know, a lot of people in my family, since their original language was not English, they have an accent. So they might not pass Larry Elder's mom's test, okay? But the point is much larger than that, and it's exactly what Larry Elder has lost track of. He, at every turn, seems to be blaming African Americans for this issue. Oh, Rachel Gentile, she's not smart, she doesn't speak well, and she didn't do a good job in front of the jury. And in the earlier clip, when he talked about the problem of crime. Now, the crime in this case was a 17-year-old unarmed kid got shot in the chest and killed. But instead, Larry Elder turns it around and goes, it's the fault of black people who are doing all this crime. But Trayvon wasn't one of those black people. He wasn't doing a crime. He got shot anyway. I feel that Larry Elder has been on conservative radio and lived with conservatives, but by lived I mean in the context of what he's been doing professionally all this time, that he's been in this bubble for so long that he's forgotten that black people are not by definition guilty. Just because one black person did a crime doesn't mean all black people did that crime. Larry, look in the mirror. You're black. I think you've forgotten that. And so it's one thing to say, hey, we should expect better of African Americans and we should expect the highest standards in education, etc. It's one thing to do tough love as Bill Cosby does, etc. It's another thing to come on here and say it's black people's fault because they're the ones doing crime anyway. So if you happen to shoot a 17-year-old innocent black kid, well, what are you going to do? I still would rather have Zimmerman out there shooting all the black kids just in case they were doing some crime. That's what it comes across as, Larry, and it comes across as awfully ugly.